what I'm doing is working in a second value. I have a dark value of brown there, and now I'm going to work in what is really the middle value and the coppery red that is really the color of my dog. But in this part of the piece, she will have just both dark brown and middle brown. Now, you're seeing that sometimes it picks up and doesn't actually make a stitch. This is not the type of piece you want to start on if you're starting like I am. This has 3 layers. It's very thick. There are areas here that the needle is just not going to stitch through. It's not perfectly taut in the hoop. So it's not the best one for the example of how to set it up or what kind of fabric to use. But it is a good one to show you how the machine works when you're working 2 values into each other. So I just ignore that. When it doesn't make a stitch, I ignore it. And find, but that's heavily stitched already. So if I didn't have such a thick fabric with this, that wouldn't be happening. And I am just going to ignore it until it makes a stitch. And usually, now see, the thread broke. But that's, again, I'm using a vintage thread. I just looked online, and if you can believe it, I don't have much brown thread. I have dark brown, but not the reddish brown that my dog is. So I'm dealing with vintage thread here. I looked online. Coats XP is overall my favorite thread, and there are 2 browns. There's Espresso and Summer Brown, and I can't really tell on the monitor which one would be more of a reddish brown. So that's when it's an advantage to be able to go to a sewing store and pick out the thread that you want. Now, I didn't cut the bobbin thread before I did that, so that's just going to stay over like that as a long bobbin thread. And I'm getting used to patting my head and rubbing my stomach at the same time. So you'll have to have some patience with me. So I'm getting better at doing long and short, which is really what I'm doing. This is how I would be doing this by hand, is long and short. And sometimes you get a square end like that. But this, again, is, and it broke again, so I'll stop. But it's only doing this because of the fabric being so thick. It's batting, sheeting, and denim, if you can believe it. And it's still embroidering through it. But that's how you layer in, and once, if you just imagine all these loose threads are out of the way, and you can see how you've got the highlights, or in this case the middle brown on top of the dark brown, and then you just keep going back into it and making long and short stitches. I think I'm going to be able to do this.